Welcome to Postpartum Unfiltered.
The podcast where we get real about what happens during the postpartum period.
I am Jillian,
And I'm Sarah.
and we are two doctor moms who were not prepared for what postpartum would bring.
By sharing your stories, we hope to spread awareness and allow other families to be more prepared for the time after birth.
Hello and welcome to Postpartum Unfiltered. Today we are here with Jessica. Hi, Jessica. Welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, thank you. I am obviously Jessica. I am a nurse and I currently work in a nonprofit with the unhoused, helping get them connected to like health stuff so that we don't keep having them go to the emergency room. I actually know Sarah from school. We went to VCU together. We were actually roommates.
But Jessica, as far as your pregnancy and birth, how do you feel played into your postpartum, if you had any postpartum anxiety or depression or anything like that?
I definitely did have anxiety. I would probably say, well, as we can see here, I am an African American, and so definitely um, maternity does not necessarily look beneficial for us when it comes to going to doctors. Always need to probably have another person in the room with you when you're talking to staff, just because there's so much anxiety of unknown or what possibly could happen whenever you are talking to the doctor. Um, so there's that, but then also the fact that I am a nurse also kind of like makes it difficult too, because it's like I try never to go into a doctor's appointment to let them know that I'm a nurse, because then all of a sudden the information I could possibly get is kind of cut off. Because like, well, you're a nurse, you would know, and it's like, well, talk to me as if I didn't know, because I'm not a nurse with the maternity, so I don't know. So please tell me what I should
Right.
know.
Right. So be
Like,
more of an advocate for yourself.
absolutely. One thing is that because of that, I definitely had set up with a doula. I wanted to have a home birth. However, baby girl had other plans. She did not want to be hid first. She was definitely breached. So, interesting. I went to my doctor's appointment and had to be told that I had to go to labor and delivery that day, which also I was not prepared whatsoever. It was not one thing of baby stuff set up in the house whatsoever. So um, to know that I am nervous about going into the hospital and possibly having to have major surgery with not necessarily, I mean, I kind of knew that maybe she might turn around, but I was definitely praying she probably would so I could have this nice, beautiful spiritual birth at home.
Mhm.
But it didn't end up happening that way. Definitely put stuff into perspective and kind of, not going to say kind of, definitely made me appreciate my significant other more, because of the fact that we kind of had conversations or made certain to have the communication beforehand of like what we want and like how serious it is dealing with healthcare as a Black mom. Um,
So it must be different being on the other side, right? As a nurse, you're kind of an
Absolutely.
advocate for other people, and now you're on the other side. And even though on the other side, we're always prepared, I guess, for our patients, it's like now when it's you, all of a sudden it's like all that goes out the window, and you're like, what is happening? And I think that always starts the anxiety. At
Mm-hmm.
least for me, that's where it started from.
Yes, yes. And then you also can pick up on the mood of other nurses because you are a nurse too. So you know
Yeah.
when you kind of got a nurse who's like, I don't really want to be here. But I think that actually worked in my benefit that I had like the first nurse when I went there. I said, I'm very nervous. I'm very anxious about this because I'm not prepared whatsoever. Like literally when
Mhm.
we came there, they told us to walk to the ward. We had to wait. That silence was so loud when we had to wait to go into our room, that I'm certain that the nurses let the other nurses know, like, hey, she's nervous or whatever. And then I did also discuss with them, hey, look at me. I know what possibly could go wrong. Um, However, it's not to say that the nurse that was actually my nurse was trash. But there, yeah, she was absolute trash. Whenever
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, what did she do? Do tell us.
I just had to, I mean, she just had this vibe that she didn't want to be there. And then so I had to ask her, hey, because I know like you can either work in, the pre-op or like
L&D.
yeah, L&D, or you can work post. So
Mhm.
I asked her, I said, which one do you favor? And then she's literally said, I don't really like working in post because then the moms are just very needy. I was looking at her like, kind of really needy right now, and the vibes that you're getting,
Yeah.
that you're gonna be absolute bitch. So
Yeah.
this,
Just
however,
lie, ma'am. Like, you don't have to tell me actually what you feel. Like, you could be like, I love this, and then go into the bathroom and say, I hate this shit. But like, why would you tell me to my face, like, they're just really needy? And you're like,
yeah, I was like, got it. Okay. So I
Yeah.
think that there was another nurse who she's also the baby nurse, the one who takes care of the baby afterwards. She
"Mhm."
could pick up that I was very anxious. So she
Mhm.
stepped in, and then it was like everybody else was great. Even he was great, like very focused. I was like, oh, I really love you. I know I'm having a baby now, but after this, let's have another one because you're so caring. She's here now, and yeah. So that probably is it. But I think during my pregnancy, what probably has increased on the anxiety was the amount of stress that I was dealing with work. And then also I am on the West Coast, families on the East Coast. And I don't feel like I necessarily had the support or like the supportive conversations. I'm definitely the strong person in the family. And so the fact that I was pregnant, I don't think anybody really gave a damn about that. And I was continuously being the person everybody would come to and dump their problems on. And if I actually needed an outlet to explain like what I'm feeling in that moment, it'd be like, oh yeah, yeah, you'll be fine. It's like, but I'm trying to tell you like I'm uncomfortable because of the responsibility that I would have later on.
Yeah.
But it just was consistently kind of like blown over. I
It's
don't
like when you're the strong person, everyone's kind of used to you being the strong person, and they're not really. And it's like crazy because you're like people are like, oh well, you're fine. Like I know you're fine, and it's like,
Or
well,
you will
actually
be.
in this,
Yeah.
yeah, and actually in this situation, I'm not fine, and that also heightens anxiety because it's like you're not getting that support that you need. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't know what motherhood is, right? Like we talk about so many times this podcast, like okay, like a lot of women like get on our type A, and they know if they do this, then this will happen. Well, this is like the first time it's like territory we're not used to. So we
right.
need like almost not a soundboard, but we need like a little bit of direction because we're almost like lost in a sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's
So,
also very frustrating when you're saying, this is what I need. And they're essentially very dismissive because
mhm.
they're sure that you'll just be fine. Right. So like, okay, yeah, like you're upset right now, but you'll be fine. So anyway, back to my problem.
Right. Exactly.
Problem right now. Stop.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I
Right.
didn't even check about the cussing, but here we are.
No, I'm here for it.
Here we are. I've been saying them left and right. Sorry.
It's all about it.
Safe space.
Yeah. So then when you delivered, how far along were you?
I was 38 weeks.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, still a very surprising time to go in for a check and be told, well, you're having a baby right now.
Yeah, because they were telling me like, I was expected probably. I really wanted her to be a Taurus, not an Aries, but
That's okay. I really wanted mine to be a Gemini, and she became a Cancer.
right. Well,
Sounds really bad.
I was like, is there any way she could come like now? And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay.
Uh,
I'm like, she got 2 days to still be in the Gemini class.
yeah, yeah.
Didn't happen.
so then you were there and they gave you a chance to labor to like for vaginal birth, or they said, no, we're going straight to the
No,
OR.
so basically, I knew that my fluid, it was an issue about my fluid being low. So they're like, we're going to have to go ahead and do the C-section because obviously you can't just be sitting in there with no daggone fluid and you think you're going to really make it to 40 weeks or even get her to be a Taurus. So I was like, I was really had unrealistic expectations probably.
Yeah.
However, it just was, I wasn't expecting that this doctor visit would literally be the day that I would go in there and be like, okay, you're going for delivery. It was like,
Yeah.
no, it's supposed to be next week.
Yeah. I think we talked to someone else in this podcast. Like, the same thing happened to her, and she's like a hairdresser, and she was like, I didn't even have time to do my hair. I just wanted them to give me like time so I could go home and do my hair and then go. She's like, I
Mhm.
was not prepared, and I'm like, oh,
I want
I guess
I
that
want to
makes
get my
sense.
wax done.
Yeah. Was
Yeah,
your
I wanted to
part
get my leg shaved. I did not do that either.
that
We
stuff
know what
I
the
did
shade
not
looks like.
care.
We knew that.
You
I was like, whatever. It's you're gonna be in some business anyway, so you might as well see my hairy legs.
I remember I kept telling the OB, I was like, I'm really sorry I didn't shave my leg. She's like, I'm not worried about it. I don't really care.
She was probably thinking, could you just shut up about it?
So can you push? That's actually really what I want because I want to eat dinner, and you're taking a lot of time.
That part. That
So was
part.
your partner with you then at that appointment? Or did you
Yeah.
have to call? Okay.
Yeah.
So at least that's a little
Yeah,
less.
that's a
Was that like a
positive.
little more reassuring that he was already with you?
Yeah, and it's funny because we were going. I was like, babe, I think maybe we should drive my car, like at least just in case something happens. Because I was, getting all into like preparing stuff, and like I had an obsession with like luggage. So I was like buying luggage because anybody cares what my
Yeah.
luggage looks like in the hospital. Because
Obviously, they always check that. Yeah.
we're gonna check the baby with that luggage.
Yeah.
Careful.
We actually can't let you leave with this.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I was thinking of bringing it, but it didn't end up happening, obviously, because he drove his car. And then that was when all the alarms rang at home.
Yeah. So then how was the C-section delivery for you?
It actually was interesting because before going into what I'm doing now, I was in PACU. So I'm totally not paying attention to what's really going on with me. I'm trying to hear what the doctors are saying because obviously I knew they would get to see like what I'm looking like inside. So I'm trying to listen to their conversation. Like, how do my like bowels look like? Because obviously you're there. So I was trying to listen to them. Um, I was definitely nervous about the epidural. And then I didn't know. I mean, I know that you have like the shakes and stuff like that, but I was like trying not to focus on like what's going on with me because if I did, I probably would be even more anxious. But everything turned out pretty good. It just is the fact that I can't fucking feel my legs is probably wasn't the the best part of it. And then yeah, other than that, to answer your question, it was good. Um, However, I was trying to focus on other stuff as if I was the nurse in the room and not actually the patient, which is
Yeah.
probably I don't know if it worked.
Disassociated probably a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. But then of course I came back to reality when they like, oh, she's out. And then, I'm like, okay, but she's not saying nothing because obviously she didn't freaking know she was out until somebody shined a light in her face or whatever. And then she started crying. And then of course all the emotions came right then and
So
there.
how did you feel in that moment when you heard her cry for the first time?
I was I am not really like that big of like super expressive of my feelings. I was like, I should probably be crying right now, but I was like, I'm feeling the emotions, but I just didn't like have like that movie moment where I'm like just crying, like, oh my god, it's so beautiful. And it was just like, wow, she's crying, like this is real. Like I'm a fucking mom. So of course I was like, I hope that she likes me.
Did you feel a bond with her, like an immediate bond?
Yeah, as soon as she came, they let me hold her. They were trying to tell me how to nurse, and she latched on immediately. I was like, "Oh shit!" I was like so worried. I mainly wanted to have the vaginal birth because I knew like by delivering, like the connection and stuff like that. And so I was thinking that maybe she wouldn't be able to like nurse, and we wouldn't have like a good connection. And then very soon I realized that that idea was total bullshit because she just totally latched on, and then like I love her so much, and
Aw.
yeah.
It's great.
So did your milk come in right away or?
Yeah, it did. I also bought the whole little whatever the heck they're called, the little I can't even think of what they are, the little pills and stuff, just in case.
Like lactation supplements and stuff.
Yeah, I was have it over there and I was about to bring it, but y'all don't really want me to sit here and like, yeah, the name of it is no. It did come in. It was interesting to know that it feels weird and all that stuff like that. But yeah, I was actually surprised because I had a lot of friends that were telling me that they had issues with it.
Yeah.
Um, and so I just assumed I would be like everybody else too, but surprisingly, I'm actually still nursing.
And how old is your daughter?
She's one.
How's your breastfeeding journey been?
It's exhausting. Like I enjoy that I can nurse her, but sometimes I'd be like, yeah, I wish you would just take the darn bottle and let me be able to like take a nap or something.
So she doesn't use a bottle at all?
No. So, and that's another thing is that like even though I love him and I'm very proud of him with the connection, he tried the bottle and she did do good the first time. And he was like, good, she can take the bottle. I was like, no, we have to keep up with this consistently so she doesn't just think like, oh, one bottle. Like I don't know what his thought process was behind that. Just let me see if she can take it. I'm like, no, keep doing it because I'm
Yeah.
going back to work soon. So yeah, she only did it like a couple of times. And now she's like, yeah, I'd rather get straight from the tap. I don't do.
Yeah. This bottle nonsense.
Right.
So did you feel anxiety when you came home from the hospital or?
I was, yes, because during my pregnancy, I didn't have my mom there, but it was his family and they were kind of like disinterested
Mhm.
during the pregnancy. But then when I came, it was just like this overwhelming, like super involved feeling that like all of a sudden like my mama bear moment totally popped up. Like, oh, you weren't even supportive during the whole time and now you're like super interested. Like it was kind of like, what is the motive behind this? So I was super anxious of it because I didn't feel as though like there was really the bond whatsoever there.
I think we've talked about it before too, is like I feel like when the baby is born, the mom is like forgotten. So it's
Yeah.
like everyone focuses really hard on the baby. And it's like the mom is also like a new person from this. She's also trying to learn everything. She's also needs time for healing. And it's almost like, okay, thanks so much for the baby. Let us know if you need anything. We got you, you know, and it's like, yeah, that's not that's helpful, but it's not really, I don't know. It for me, it just didn't help my anxiety that I had. So I don't know if
Right.
that's kind of like the same experience.
And was that family that came to visit you, were they also checking in on you, or they came and kind of were mostly focused on the baby?
They were mostly focused on the baby. What was the big anxiety was probably like because we live in the same house, which also this is the whole thing is that while I was pregnant the last weeks we were trying to move out, but hello, surprise, we're not moved out yet because she came and so was put on hold. So I actually recall like maybe the like first day being home, actually trying to get good sleep, I woke up and literally his mom was like right there. And I was
Oh my
like,
God.
What?
the fuck? So
Did you hear that? Oh my God. I would have just
Excuse
screamed.
me?
I'd be like, intruder.
like,
Like
you know,
in your room?
yeah, she was in the
It
room.
just not her room, in the middle of the night,
Yeah,
just
like it was
stand
actually the
lurking.
day. Like I was night shift and stuff too. So of course the best sleep I'm gonna get is during the day. So then wake up like oh shit, somebody's literally in here holding my child and
I'm not okay. I'm like still not okay from the first time that you said that.
yeah. So just reliving it. Yeah. Thank you for the reminder. It was definitely a big shock waking up and her being right
I
there.
think that's like an understatement.
So how did you handle that?
Um, well, she obviously needed as soon as I woke up, she started crying. That's how I woke up. And I was just
Hmm.
expecting because at this time we had the bassinet, and so I looked and she's not there. And I'm like, where the fuck is my child?
Yeah, I would have had a heart attack.
And so she was crying because she wanted to nurse. So basically, I did nurse her and she left. But then, of course, she's a Caribbean woman. So she also, while I was nursing, was like trying to tell me, like, you need to make certain that she's covered. I'm like, bitch, I just woke up. Like, you want me to be covered while I'm sleeping? And then that's when I talked to you because you were checking in because it's like you had the sixth sense. Like, how are you? And I was like, I really just had a breakdown because I had to tell him, like, hey, we agreed on it being me and you, and we set like our boundaries. Like
Right.
we just had said that we're not having my mom come out here immediately after the birth because we want to be able to get to know the child. And I'm waking up and your mom's in the fucking room
Yeah.
Yeah.
telling
Not
me.
only in
A
the room,
boundary
but
breaker.
holding the baby. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh my God.
it was definitely a lot. But yeah.
Was he supportive of those boundaries?
His boundaries are on lock, and I had to take a note from him. After I told him that, he let her know, hey, that's not how things are going to go, and so it was no longer an issue. Um, so yes,
That's amazing.
yeah,
Yeah, that is really good.
yeah.
That's really, really good. I locked my room door.
Did you?
Well, yeah,
I
when
think,
my mail
like,
stayed over, I definitely locked my door. I was like, I don't want like if the baby
yes,
I don't want
occupied.
Hello, are you in there?
No.
Locked and asleep, ma'am.
Mm-mm. No. Just come back later or don't.
Or boundaries
So,
are a big deal. Yeah.
so was anxiety the main mood thing that you felt postpartum?
Yes,
And
yes.
how was your experience with that, or how long did it last? Are you still having that anxiety experience, or has it changed?
It's changed. I've been going to therapy and also trying to manage that and definitely like getting better with my boundaries and definitely trying to ensure that I have set self-care better.
Yeah.
Obviously now self-care is not like the cutesy, like I'm gonna go get a facial. It's like literally like understanding mental health is a big priority. How am I feeling right now? How can I solve this problem?
Yes.
Support do I need? And it helps that I have him that I can talk with, like my concerns, and like they be addressed better.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
when did your mom end up coming out? Because I know you said you guys didn't want her to come out.
She came out.
Oh
Sorry.
no.
She came out a month later.
Okay.
Even- we were still trying to push it back, but she's like, no, I'm coming now. So yeah, she came out a month later, but it was, yeah, she came out a month later.
Okay.
I feel
And
like
did
your
that
question
help?
coming, how did that go? No, it did not help whatsoever. No,
Okay.
no, this because I mean, it's different when like they're not there all the time, and then it puts because I'm definitely a people pleaser. So then like having her come and I'm like trying to let her know that hey, I have another responsibility. I can't be trying to take care of you. I'm also trying to figure out how to get sleep. That's
Right.
probably not helpful. And then also, I don't know. I wouldn't say like our relationship even before pregnancy or just in general was the best. So it kind of like brought up like additional feelings and stuff that probably should have been talked about before trying to manage someone who can't sleep with
Right.
Yeah.
At the wrong time.
So
her.
when did you get therapy or start looking for any sort of help to manage the anxiety?
Um, Probably after returning back to work and realizing that I hate people and I should.
When did you go back to work?
I went back to work when she was 4 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did that feel like a good amount of time for you, or like you didn't want to go back yet?
I didn't want to, and I literally told the doctor, like, I'm really anxious. I'm having a lot of intrusive thoughts of going back to work. And she's like, yeah, you'll be fine. I was like, yeah, fuck you. And
Yeah, like what is everyone like in a chat room? They're just all recording that and passing it along to each other. Like they're not even gonna say it. They're just
What
gonna
kind of
press a
visit is
button. You'll
that?
be
Like,
fine. You'll be fine.
yeah, I was like, hey, I'm really anxious. Like, is there any way that I can like maybe talk to a psychiatrist or something? And she was
yeah.
like, no, you're a nurse. She'll be fine. I was like,
Excuse me?
I love you.
Did
But
they
like,
give you questionnaires at all afterwards? Like at visits? Like kind of to monitor the anxiety?
yes, they did.
Did they talk? How were your results, and did they investigate it at all?
No,
Oh my God.
So did you go look for a second opinion or anything, or was that just kind of really defeating for you?
it was pretty much defeating. Yeah. I didn't look for a second. It also, hello, insurance was trash, and that
Yeah.
where we were and the people that I could get in order to sign off for me to return for work was not really realistic to have a 6 second opinion. Or
Yeah.
nobody was finding anybody at that time.
Yeah.
That's, yeah. Oh my gosh. So you said you had intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long did
What
it last? Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what kind, like, were they all like negative things happening to the baby or revolving around you or work, or what were they?
Yeah, like negative things happen to baby, or also like I was super careful, like kind of scared to go out into like public because like if this happened, then this would be the result of it, and then my baby would be left with this person, and da, da, da. So it just like would continuously cycle on that I'd have to like focus back um to like, hey, that's not gonna happen. Well, we don't know, but like
Yeah.
out, relax.
Yeah. Like stop the spiral. Okay, let's take a beat. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's really hard.
It is. I feel like we still have it a little bit. Like I have GPS trackers on my kids.
Oh, I
yeah,
have intrusive thoughts all the time. We have weights downstairs, and I'm like, well, what if we crushed their skull with a kettlebell? And then it flashed inside my mind to a picture of my child with a crushed head, and I'm like, this is really helpful. Thanks, body. Thanks for this.
that's
I always think someone's gonna take them.
Yeah.
really
I always think they're gonna get stolen.
what you're talking about, Julian, is literally me because I um am definitely love to work out. Like that's my best outlet and stuff. And so I'm like, if I go running by myself, somebody could grab me and like attack me or something like that. Or I'm
Hmm.
like, let me work in the house with her and I'll have like free weights and maybe she'll be in the same room. And I'm like, what if I sneeze and like all of a sudden I drop the weights and all of a sudden like it lands on her. So I'm like, okay, so we can't work out now because this
Yeah,
is putting everybody at danger, even though I haven't even lifted the weight yet. So
exactly. And then it's in your head, and that's the hard part. Like it's in there, and then it
yeah.
keeps coming up and it keeps coming out, and it's just overwhelming sometimes.
It
Mhm.
is. It
Yeah.
is.
So then you
Yes.
just
Right. You just avoid all those things. Like I had one, I thought I had a candle lit and I had my baby in the swaddle and I walked by and I thought, oh my God, what if the baby caught on fire? Right. And I'm like, oh, well, candle's gone. We don't need candles anymore.
right.
Like,
And that's
like,
because no candles.
yeah.
Yeah.
Has therapy helped at all with the intrusive thoughts? Is that something you've tried to address in therapy or not?
Um, I no, I haven't focused on that. It's just probably like my anger. I think also what I think yes, I have anxiety, but I also would say what other stuff came up was just my anger towards like I guess like life just in general.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
probably a whole nother conversation. It's just like, dang, there's so much stuff that I didn't know, and I'm trying to talk with family, and it's just being brushed under the rug. And it's like, why the fuck is nobody telling anybody this crap here? And we're just supposed to figure it out. And now
Yeah.
I'm super angry, and now I can't work out to relieve that anger. So now I'm even more angry because
Right.
it's blah.
Did anybody talk, like in your care team while you're pregnant, talk about postpartum at all?
Actually, nobody from my care team, but my doula did, which also I did end up encapsulating my placenta.
Mhm.
Oh.
I would take those, which hello, those are like crack or something. They make me really happy. And I was like, well, I'm like really high and happy. Well, taking these, I probably should take them now to kind of help with that. But yeah, it was actually my doula who told me about that, like, and even explained to my significant other, like, hey, while she's afterwards, she's going to be having these thoughts. So let's be a little bit more cognizant. And I appreciate her for telling them that because,
Yeah.
men.
No, they don't know.
No,
Mm-mm.
and they need somebody else to tell them.
They definitely.
But yeah, that's how I feel. Like it's kind of wild to me that there are a lot of common themes that we see in all these interviews that we've done, but the most common theme is no one is told anything.
Right.
Basic, like the most they're told is you come back in 6 weeks,
Right.
and that's crazy. Even if you don't have a C-section, which is major surgery that we just kind of act like isn't, like there's still so much change that happens. And so why can't we get some information on it? Why can't we set expectations? It's almost like people are afraid to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
And so they're like, well, if we don't talk about it, maybe this time they won't have a hard time. Even though historically, literally every woman has had a hard time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hard times not the same for everybody. You know, it doesn't have to be an extreme, like crazy, like you're visibly
Psychosis.
lose. Yeah, I probably say my issue is that I definitely dissociate a lot, and so like I think probably maternity leave had me sit in it and kind of like deal with the emotion and really realize this, but then also try and remember like, hey, you can't lose your shit right now because you got somebody to that's gonna probably
Right.
look
I
at
know.
you like
Yeah.
crazy, like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you're having a mental breakdown, but please nurse me right now. It's like
Right.
you're
Yeah.
right.
Like, let me just schedule in my mental breakdown. That's where we're at.
That's what
Like,
showers are for. That's what
yeah.
showers. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Jessica, is there anything else about your postpartum that feels important to mention?
Um, Probably a lot more, but I can't think of them off the top of my head.
Hey, that's the mom brain working for you.
Absolutely. Whenever the regular brain comes in, please let me know.
Okay. Yeah. It's on back
Working
order.
on that.
Yeah. Well, Jessica, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you being here, and I really appreciate you sharing your story and being open about it. And I think it's really nice to hear all these different perspectives so that we can get the information out there so that we can set these better expectations for families going forward.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you for listening to Postpartum Unfiltered.
If you enjoyed the show, please like, share, comment, or leave a review.
You can follow us on Instagram at postpartum.unfiltered.
If you feel called to share your postpartum experience, please contact us on Instagram or at drjilliancampbell.com.